Like the video and subscribe to our channel right now and get 1 week of amazing luck. These marine creatures, which range from modern-day giants to ancient sea monsters, have incredible strength and unusual characteristics that make them incredibly scary. We'll examine the capabilities of the Mosasaurus, Purussaurus, Dunkleosteus, the killer whale of Yatan, and other marine monsters in this video and contrast them with the legendary Megalodon, a beast from the Chronicles of Marine Mythology that rules supreme. Here are the 12 animals that could defeat a Megalodon. Number 12. The Mosasaurs. The Cretaceous-era period saw the emergence of the world's most well-known marine reptile, which thrived in the seas and oceans surrounding Europe and North America. It attained a comparable length as the Megalodon but weighed much less, with a length of up to 18 meters and a weight of 14 tons. Due to their strong resemblance to lizards and snakes, mosasaurs have a snake-like form. Given that sharks require between 2 and 15 rows of teeth because they lose teeth frequently, its conical teeth, which were just as long as those of the Megalodon at 18 centimeters, were substantially less in number. The mosasaur's teeth were attached considerably deeper, which is why the protruding section was not as large, therefore this cannot readily happen to them. Mosasaur's teeth weren't as effective at cutting as the Megalodon's pointed, razor-sharp teeth were. Instead, they were experts at grabbing prey, and they even had a second row of teeth in the back, similar to snakes, to help fix the prey and eat it whole. Even though a fight would be entertaining, the Megalodon would likely come out on top. Number 11. Dunkleosteus. The Dunkleosteus was a gigantic fish that existed 350 million years before the Megalodon. Despite being much smaller than the Megalodon at 10 meters and 4 tons, it still had very little chance. Rather than teeth, Dunkleosteus had 2 huge, razor-sharp bone plates that joined to produce a powerful bite. It was the biggest and most powerful hunter the planet had ever seen during the Devonian period. However, its biggest strength was its armor, which was quite strong, yet a Megalodon could probably still get through it owing to its powerful bite. But it would require some time. The relatively vulnerable Megalodon would presumably get the short end of the stick if they both faced each other and bite at the same time, but that is highly unlikely. Given its slower speed and greater immobility compared to the Mosasaurus, Dunkleosteus would have a much worse chance in such a battle, but it is still possible. Number 10. Pliosaurus. Better known as Predator X, would engage in a more intense battle than any of the other animals. The very first video on this channel that would go on to win was devoted to a comparison between it and the Megalodon. With a length of 15 meters and a weight of 35 tons, Predator X was one of the largest pliosaurs with the monster of Arambari. Its thick barrel-like construction was even more similar to that of a Megalodon than the snake-like mosasaurs. A really huge predator with 38 incredibly powerful teeth would approach a Megalodon very closely. Its estimated bite force of 15 tons was possibly the highest of all animals and even higher than that of the prehistoric shark. The fight would undoubtedly be among the closest, quickest, and most passionate ones on our list. Number 9. Basilosaurus. Now let's look at the animals that are now at the top. We're talking about whales, and the Basilosaurus was an extremely predatory whale in prehistoric times. It was once believed to be a prehistoric sea snake because of how primitive the whale was and how closely it resembled reptiles. With a length of 18 meters, it was almost the same size as the Mosasaurus, and it is also expected that the Basilosaurus had a similar lifestyle. This is why it was given the name Basilosaurus, which means king lizard and does not fit a whale at all. Compared to modern whales, the Basilosaurus had diminutive hind fins that eventually vanished, but tiny fragments of them can still be detected in whale skeletons. The Basilosaurus resembled a snake and shared traits with the Mosasaurus. It's unlikely that a clash between the Megalodon and Basilosaurus would differ significantly from that between the mosasaurs. Number 8. Leviathan Melville. Another predatory whale is present, and it's possible that it formerly interacted with Megalodon a few million years ago. I'm referring to leviathan Melville. This was a sperm whale relative that has some of the largest teeth ever, as well as possibly even a stronger bite force than Megalodon. However, since the leviathan's bite force has not yet been identified, this is not clear. With a length of 17 meters, the leviathan whale was roughly on par with the Megalodon. Due to its resemblance to the sperm whale, one can already speculate that the leviathan had a rather large body that was also very close to the shark in terms of mass, with up to 50 tons. Given that Megalodon's teeth were ideal for breaking apart enormous portions of meat, it would probably have one if it only bit. But the leviathan had a weapon that may end the conflict even before it began. Due to the exceptionally huge spermaceta organ of the leviathan, it was actually able to emit a massive sound burst that was used for echolocation but might be strengthened so that it could stun its adversaries with it. The great question, of course, is whether this ability would also work on a massive shark like Megalodon. If so, Leviathan could defeat the shark by rendering it helpless. If it doesn't, we'll still have a close battle. The ramming attack with the incredibly robust head is another effective attack. In 1820, sperm whale battering rams sank a 300-ton whaling boat. Leviathan also had this ability and could possibly end the fight with it. Number 7. Purussaurus brasiliensis. Several other creatures would have a shot as well. Huge crocodile from the prehistoric era. Probably Purussaurus brasiliensis was the strongest. Megalodon and Purussaurus both existed in South America 15 million years ago. It was considerably smaller than the shark, measuring 12.5 meters and weighing 8 tons, yet it was still tremendously powerful. About bite force less than half of the lowest estimations of the Megalodon's biting force, or 52,000 newtons, were attained by the prehistoric crocodile, which is still among the top 5 of all animals ever to have lived. Megalodon did not encounter the Purussaurus, but it did come into contact with the Ramphasukis, a different enormous crocodile of the Gavialidae family that was only skilled in catching smaller creatures and did not represent a threat to the shark. Although the Megalodon had superior weaponry for a battle between two enormous beasts, the Purussaurus had armor that could help it survive. Although a battle between these two creatures would undoubtedly be thrilling, the Megalodon would probably dominate more frequently because the shark was not only larger but also faster in the water. However, the Purussaurus could endure much more damage because sharks only need to lose one fin to be doomed, while crocodiles can survive with 3 legs. Number 6. Killer whale. Now here, take a look at today's animals. It is the largest dolphin, measuring 8.5 meters in length and 6.6 tons in weight. Even while orcas are highly bright, quick, and agile, what makes them truly strong is pack hunting. The killer whale would have some of the poorest chances of winning out of all the species on this list, but they are not zero, and that's the only thing you need to get into the list. Even a Megalodon would probably have no chance against an orca group, but this video is about 1 versus 1 fights. Great white sharks can be defeated by orcas, but things don't look good when up against animals with nearly the same skills and 25 times the volume. However, a really massive orca and a little Megalodon might engage in a thrilling battle. Killer whales are said to have contributed to the extinction of the Megalodon because they could hunt more successfully and take prey away from the shark. In a way, the conflict has already been won by orcas. Number 5. Sperm whale. The sperm whale is the strongest animal right now. For the same reason as Leviathan, this is the strongest beast on the list who would have a better chance of winning the battle. It can also emit an enormous burst of sound up to 230 decibels, which is so loud that it can even kill a person, since at 200 decibels or more, the alveoli burst and you immediately lose your hearing. Additionally, because sound travels considerably quicker and farther in water, the sperm whale may be many kilometers away. With the aid of echolocation, sperm whales can communicate and locate prey. The topic of what decibel level Megalodon could withstand naturally arises again. While potentially this capacity could temporarily discourage the shark, Megalodon does not have it easy because the sperm whale is larger and hence has an edge even without this ability. The greatest predator of all time, a bull can grow to a length of 20 meters and weigh up to 100 tons, making it twice as heavy. Of course, such dimensions are relatively uncommon. A fight with a species that weighs 50 tons would be the most thrilling because they are the most common. Sperm whales are specialized at hunting deep-sea squid, but unlike leviathan, they are not actually built for combat. Sperm whales only have teeth in their bottom jaw. Sperm whales can also unleash a lot of power with their head, so at least they can utilize it as a battering ram. As previously indicated, that is sufficient to sink wooden ships. Number 4. Hinosaurus. The Hinosaurus belonged to the Mosasaurus family and, at a length of 17 meters, was not much smaller than the species' namesake Mosasaurus. However, it also had a unique ability. Because of its arrow-like head form, the Hinosaurus was able to engage in lethal ramming strikes. Additionally, Hinosaurus's teeth were a potent weapon, and given that it belonged to the Mosasaurs, it was naturally exceedingly agile. For the Megalodon, a Hinosaurus ramming attack could be extremely hazardous. There is a Mosasaurus skull that has a dent that is rather prominent in one area. This dent may have been made by Hinosaurus. With its weight of only 10 to 15 tons, this marine reptile would likely stand a reasonable chance against Megalodon, but ultimately, in my opinion, it would likely fall short due to its lack of strength. Number 3. Kronosaurus. The Kronosaurus, which existed in South America and Australia during the Lower Cretaceous period, was a much smaller but no less powerful creature. It was smaller than the other animals on our list, measuring 10 meters in length, but at 11 tons, it was stronger and more compact for its size than the others since it was more specialized in hunting plesiosaurs rather than fish. Kronosaurus pursued significantly larger and more powerful prey as a result. Additionally, its head was enormous in comparison to the rest of its body and exceedingly sturdy. If you think about it that way, you can see how the Kronosaurus may make life challenging for a Megalodon. But in the end, the Megalodon will undoubtedly win in more encounters than it would lose. Number 2. Spinosaurus. The Spinosaurus is the only dinosaur that is under question. It was the biggest land predator ever and a serious menace to the ocean as well. With an 18-meter length and a weight of 9 feet, it was extraordinarily long but not particularly heavy. In reality, the Spinosaurus would have a very minimal chance even against a small Megalodon, but there would still be a chance, just like with a killer whale. The Spinosaurus had 2 enormous arms with enormous claws, which were arguably its most potent weapons, but the rest of its arsenal was lacking because its mouth was designed for catching prey rather than engaging in fierce combat. Spinosaurus, however, would be the strongest in the water of all dinosaurs due to its preference for life along riverbanks and its hunting of huge rays. Although of course nothing comparable to the largest shark of all time. Finally, we return to a species about which we know very little but which was one of the toughest animals ever. Number 1. Leius. A massive filter-feeding fish known as Leius, also called the Leeds fish, inhabited the oceans during the Jurassic era. With lengths of up to 55 feet, it retains the distinction of being one of the biggest fish ever to have lived. In order to understand it better, the size of lead poisoning was comparable to a school bus. Despite being so huge as a filter feeder, Leius predominantly consumes tiny creatures like plankton by removing them from the water with the aid of specialized gill rakers. A Megalodon may easily be intimidated by the Leius due to their sheer size, but these general giants preferred peace to fight.